Hello friend, today I'm going to share a story about a guy that lost his job during the pandemic and became TikTok famous.
And I am going to share about a life-changing tool. Let's get to it.
I'm going to be talking about an article, and this article is how I got my job becoming a TikTok star after being a line cook. And it's by Morgan Goldberg. And this is also a twofer because I want to talk about who they talk about in the article, this TikTok chef, Sad Papi. In 2020, like many other restaurant workers, Brandon Skyer found himself out of work because of the pandemic. He had zero tech skills, but over a decade of restaurant experience, so he decided to upload a cooking video on TikTok. In one day, it got over 1 million views, and he never looked back. He became friends with other social media influencers and who befriended him and gave him tips on production, equipment, and just how to up his game. He even became, one of them became his girlfriend, still to this day, which is really cool. So he now has over 1.9 million followers on TikTok, several brand deals, and he's also on Instagram and YouTube as well. So what he looks like, he's kind of thin, he's got these tattoos, like hand tattoos all over, so a lot of times it's just his hands in the video, but if he has a really cool aesthetic, he's a very laid-back personality with this calm but also a very confident voice. You definitely know that he knows his way around the kitchen. And he mixes this blend of cooking tips, and he also talks about more higher-end food recipes because he was in fancy restaurants in LA, but he presents them in a way that isn't intimidating, which is a very unique quality as well. And you know, there's a lot of TikTok recipes where they're just gross. It's all butter and cheese and so unhealthy. They might even look good, but oh my gosh, they make me cringe so much. Definitely you won't find that here. And I just love it. So also it's kind of an ASMR thing that I've noticed now. I don't have that gene where it really gives that tingling sensation for me, but definitely the sound of chopping and sizzling and cooking is something that if you do have that and you like cooking, you'll definitely love these cooking channels, especially this one and this article, How I Got My Job Becoming a TikTok Star After Being a Line Cook.
I'm really fascinated as to why that video got 1,000 views so quickly.
1 million.
1 million, yeah. I mean, 1 million.
Yeah.
Do you know what
I don't even remember what it was.
I
don't think that in the article, I don't think they said what it was. But it was just a very much like, oh, I'm going to test it. I think it was just like, do you want to see me cooking? You know, like, I don't know if he even cooked anything. He's just like, hey, I'm a chef of 10 to 20 years. I have all this experience. Would you want to see me? Yeah. He must have cooked something.
And it was early in TikTok days as well.
Well, and the pandemic, a lot of people, TikTok kind of blew up during the pandemic because people were using to escape. That's certainly, he's actually one of the first YouTube chefs that TikTok chefs that I found, and immediately I liked him. So nice. I've actually seen his videos and his subscriber base grow, and I have been a fan of his forever. So it's been cool to see this story and see how now he does it full time.
Yeah.
And he talks about all the intricacies, like, you know, everybody thinks when you're a social media person that you only work like an hour a day and it's all fun and games. So he's like, I work just as hard as when I worked at a restaurant. And if anybody knows restaurant work, it is tough.
Yeah.
He worked 2 jobs, 10 hours a day. And he's like, I get up, just like I would write my prep, I do prep for different, instead of sous chef cutting up ingredients and he's like, I write, what am I going to post about today? How am I going to, what do I have to edit today? What do I have to film today? What am I going to do in the future for next week? And, he's like, it's just as hard. It's not super cushy, but he goes, but I do get to do what I love. I get to do it at my home. I can be myself. I can do the things that I want to do. At a restaurant, you'd have to do the same menu over and over and over. So yeah, it's really cool. And it's just a cool story of how he, pivot is the magic word for all of the pandemic, but how he changed this bad situation and became TikTok famous. It's
cool. Great.
He even got a girlfriend out of it.
Right.
And she also has a great cooking TikTok channel as well. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
My cool sheet is a book. And I have to say, I was really surprised that we haven't talked about it yet. I searched through our database, and no, we have not. The name of this book is The Artist's Way, and this is by Julia Cameron. The subtitle of this book is A Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity, and then also given the name The Artist's Way. And while I feel like somewhat of an artist, I didn't think that book was for me for years. And for some reason, I decided, you know what, I'm seeing it in too many places and too many people are saying this is such a great book. I decided to get the audiobook, and I recently finished it. And I also discovered, by now having read or listened to the book, that subtitle to me isn't the best subtitle. It is a real action-oriented manual, I would call it, along with the other spiritual path and all of that. So Julia Cameron, the author of this, she has been an active artist for over 40 years. Her emphasis has been on screenwriting, directing, and also an author of several books. And she's extremely successful in all these various realms. And I gotta say, Martin Scorsese he has called this book a valuable tool to get in touch with your creativity, which could be beyond being an artist in the sense that a lot of us think of artists like painting or something like that. So with her background, it was originally written for artists. She helped many people that she knew remove blocks. And she then created in-person courses over 25 years ago, and she was then encouraged to write this book so that people could learn to do it on their own. And one of the famous takeaways that I've heard, and perhaps you have as well, is this idea of the morning pages. This is essentially journaling every morning to brain dump stuff out, both the good to get juices flowing, but also to brain dump out the bad so that you can then focus on the good. She also has a ton of exercises. There are questions that you can ask yourself. There are a lot of questions and things to write about that have to do with goal setting and have to do with dreaming. The audiobook is great, but I do highly recommend that you get the hard copy if you want to work through the 8-week course, The Artist's Way.
Yeah, I kind of am surprised we haven't talked about this either.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good. I've had this book for the longest time as well. I've started it a couple times. I was like, this is like 8 weeks, a big commitment of like going through this journey. In fact, I have, once I move all my equipment, air fry equipment again, clankety clank, I even have the book as well and the workbook. I got a workbook that came with it, which is really cool. As you can see, there's nothing filled out in this workbook because I haven't used it as well. But yeah, morning pages alone, if that's all you do, yeah, that is like the secret weapon for so many directors and people in the film industry. Obviously Martin Scorsese, but also Jon Favreau, I know, like he attributes all of the success to morning pages.
Wow.
And you know, he's one of the biggest directors, producers in the game right now. You know, he started super humbly with Swingers, an independent film that he made with his buddies. It's kind of like a joke, but just like their life that he thought no one would watch. And now he's directing The Mandalorian and producing, you know, biggest Marvel movies, and he's done a swath. He hasn't just, some people think, well, sold out and did Marvel stuff. No, he did The Chef and he did other independent films. So he's huge. All because of morning pages, he says, because
so
of that.
Cool.
And so many other people. And yeah, artists of all kind, which are authors, writers, painters. It's so cool. And yeah, I've always wanted to get better at it. So hopefully maybe this is the kick in the butt I needed to actually get
start doing it.
Yeah.
I started doing morning pages yesterday.
Oh,
so
great.
if
there
you want to
You're
start
one for one.
if you want to start doing it.
Well, and I do take my philosophy for journaling as that. So I have a daily prompt, and that's finally how I've started. I think I'm almost on a 500-day journaling spree, which if you know for me is saying so much. Because I struggle. I always wanted to journal. Now I've kind of used the caveat that Tim Ferriss uses, that keep the bar super, super low. So even if it's just like one word, that counts for journaling for that day. But it's kind of my brain dump. Like I just use it as that a lot. And I felt like that makes that journaling task a lot easier to approach when you're not having to feel like you need to define it in some certain way.
Right.
It's just brain dump. I love that term, brain dump. Like just whatever's in your head, get it out. And then you can kind of concentrate on the rest of the day and being efficient and more focused. It's really cool.
Yeah, I think if you do it her way, she wants you to spend a half an hour every day.
Yeah, which can also be overwhelming for people to start with.
Right. And so, which I think, if you dedicate to I'm going to do it for 8 weeks. And then also the end of every week, she says, okay, think back to the week. How many days did you do the morning pages? So she's not assuming you're gonna do them every day.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, did you do them just once? Did you do 5 out of 7? And then why did you skip if you did skip? And so you can kind of do an assessment without having to feel like, oh, if I didn't do it every day, I'm, total
I'm
loser.
a loser.
Yeah. So
lazy, whatever these
so it's
things
really
you might tell
cool.
yourself.
It's really cool, the reflection, like the prompts, and then also the reflections every week.
Very cool.
Really awesome.
Well,
So,
cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And if you want to check out our show notes again, it's at 10bestest.com/airfry. That'll get you to the Artist's Way, the air fryer, all the other things that we've been talking about today. Thank you for joining, friend. I'm Brian Hart.
I'm Karen McFarland-Holman.
And let us know in the comments, who's your favorite TikTok chef?
And let us know, have you heard of the Artist's Way before?
If you're enjoying the show, please give us a like and share it with a friend.
Stay tuned for another wonderful show.
And don't forget to stay curious.